At the end of each module, we'll be providing these hyperlinks for you to go out and do a little bit more exploration.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. Talk a little bit about playing media, which is really easy now in HTML5.
Yes, it is.
Basically, one line of code. Yeah,
yep.
Here it is. One line of code right there. 2 tags. We can add MP3 audio to our page.
Yeah, really any audio, almost any audio, as long as the browser can hack it. Yep.
Exactly. And then, of course, video.
Yep.
Here's another additional resource for you to go out and explore.
Yep. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. You'll notice the autoplay, which is going to do exactly what you think it's going to do, which is once they hit that page, it's automatically going to start playing on that audio
let's do a demo.
Video. Yeah, let's do that.
It's one thing, tell them about it, but I think we probably need to demo it, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about one more thing, and that's our semantic HTML, and then we'll do a demo on both of these.
Okay, perfect. I love it. I love it.
Semantic HTML, these are some new tags. Just by the name semantic, which, by the way, means meaning, kind of gives it away.
Meaning, yep.
Yeah. We've got a set of new tags that provide meaning to us about what our tag is doing.
Yeah.
Here's a nice little visual here that represents some of the new semantic HTML tags for you.
Yep.
Beginning with header. Well, right away we know that section of our code is to display a header, as is a footer. Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. And what's really nice about those is again, you're describing the text, you're describing the data. So if I just simply went in and I said, for example, bold, or if I just simply said H1, that I'm not necessarily saying that this is a header, that I might just be using that because of the fact that I want it to display a particular way, but the text itself might not actually be anything important. That we mentioned, the 3 little pigs,
right.
Or like once upon a time. It might not be, that text itself might not be important, but I just want to display it as bold just visually. So when a screen reader or a search engine comes along and it looks at it, it can't know with 100% certainty that that text is important or that exact meaning. But if we take a look again at the semantic HTML, what you're going to notice is that we're now describing what that data is all about. So we are now specifically saying, hey, this is the header. We're specifically saying, hey, this is the footer. We're specifically saying, hey, this is the aside. And that way you're now better describing what that text is.
Good, very good point, especially about making your application more accessible.
Yes.
Right? Yep. Because, again, your application is still going to run if you replace all of these with the traditional div tag.
Yep.
But by being more semantically correct, it certainly helps your application become more accessible because, as Christopher mentioned, screen readers are going to now be able to pick this up. So you'll certainly want to move towards creating applications in semantic HTML. However, other older applications that you have written using the div tag is still out there, right?
It is still there.
Still available to use, and we'll actually probably do some demos with it. But begin to get comfortable with these, and of course for the exam, know what these are and when would be the most appropriate time to use each of these. I think it's time for a demo.
I agree. Let's see it.
Let's actually add some media to our page. The page that we've kind of been working on thus far, and we'll actually add a little semantic tag just to demonstrate that. All right, here we go. We're back at our application that we wrote earlier. Just to keep things clean and simple, I'm going to add an additional paragraph here.
Okay.
And inside of that, we will add our video.
Okay, let's see it. That's pretty simple. Just video. I like it.
Pretty simple, right?
Yep.
The first thing we're going to have to specify is the source.
Okay.
That's just the path, right?
Yep.
To make things simple, I'm going to go ahead and add that path into my file.
Okay.
Let's create a travel blog. How does that sound?
Sounds perfect. I love it.
Right before coming here, I went on 2 little mini trips.
Okay.
We've got a choice. We can either go see some video from my gator watching tour.
Okay.
Or we can look at the one from my little road trip down the West Coast.
Let's go Highway 1. I've done that drive before, and it's stunningly gorgeous. So let's do Highway 1.
Let's do Highway 1. You don't want to be adventurous today. All right. Highway 1 it is. It is absolutely beautiful scenery.
It is. Yep.
All right. Now, if you're following along, and I hope you are at home, create your travel blog as well and use any video that you have or any place that you would like to go.
Yep.
Just see if you can add that to our page. Now, what happens if we run this now? What are we going to get, Christopher?
Well, I think there's only one way to find out.
All right.
Well, there's a video.
Yeah, well, it just looks like a big old black hole to me, right?
Yeah, it does.
So it doesn't do anything yet. We still have some work to do.
Okay.
And of course, one of the things we need to do is resize it. Way too big, right?
Yeah.
So let's do that right now.
Okay.
Let's add some attributes, our height. Let's set that to 300 pixels.
Yep.
And our width.
There you go.
Let's go 500. How does that sound?
That sounds perfect to me.
Let's talk a little bit about your autoplay, your instrument.
Oh yeah, my autoplay, the bane of my existence. The one big thing to keep in mind about autoplay is that what's going to happen, you're going to see this here momentarily when Rachel fires up her page, is that it's automatically going to start playing. And there are going to be times when that's appropriate, because if I create a link and it says, click here to view this video, then I'm expecting, if I'm a user, that that's going to start playing the video. But if all of a sudden I just navigate to your page, so www.yourdomain.com, and this is maybe my first time looking at your page, and all of a sudden I see a video, that could be very surprising. And I can't tell you the number of times, and this has happened to me when I've been sitting in a meeting and maybe I should have been paying attention. I had my speakers up, I fired up a URL, and all of a sudden now I've got a video playing with full surround sound. And it just, it's really
a little overwhelming,
jarring.
isn't it?
Yeah. So make sure that if you are going to use autoplay, that your users are going to expect it. So you certainly don't want that on like your landing page. But if you create a link and it says, click here to view video, then yeah, using autoplay is perfect there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we'll go ahead and do it, though, just to demonstrate
absolutely.
a little bit.
Yeah, we got to see it.
But we do, with what you said, we want to be mindful to give our users a little bit of control. So we're going to go ahead and use a controls attribute so they can start it, stop it, resume it, loop it. In fact, speaking of loop, let's go ahead and add the loop attribute as well.
Yep.
When it gets to the end, if the user hasn't stopped it, we'll want to replay it again.
And don't forget your PX on 500.
Ah, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Good eye. All right, let's run this. See how that looks. Oh, and there we go.
And
now
there
we've got
it is.
our autoplay. As Christopher mentioned, it automatically begins to play. But I do have my user control, so I can pause that if I want. I can scrub through it. And of course, when it gets to the end, it'll loop back and start from the beginning as well. One of the things to note, though, is that these controls are browser specific. Remember, an HTML application is actually rendered on the browser, and you as a user, developer, don't really necessarily have control over that browser.
Right.
So you'll want to test that. Let's just see how it looks maybe in Chrome.
Okay.
And you'll notice that you see a little bit of difference in those controls. In other words, you really, as the developer, don't control what those look like.
Right. And that actually is a lot of times a good thing, because I don't always necessarily care exactly what the controls look like. And again, allowing the browser or allowing the tool that the user is using to view your website kind of handle things creates a bit more of a consistent experience for them. So that way, if I'm using IE, every time that I go to a video, I get the exact same controls, and that can help create a better experience in the long run for your users.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed. All right, I'm going to go back to my code. Since
let's see it.
We're going to be building this as a travel blog. Let's make this make a little bit more sense.
Sure.
So bear with me here.
California.
In fact, this used to be your stomping ground.
It used to be my, I lived down there for a good 15 years. Actually, just moved up here. So I will certainly miss the weather. So, yeah. And I'd also mention just real quickly that if you ever have the opportunity to go drive Highway 1, it's an absolute must. It's stunningly gorgeous. So
it was my first trip that far south of California, and it was beautiful.
Yep.
Winding stretch.
Yep.
I'll just put in a little stuff here that makes sense.
There you go. Perfect.
Coast of the U.S. And
one of the things while you're typing along here to notice is, and just kind of going back to the screen here, is you'll notice that as Rachel's typing out here, that it's automatically going on to the next line. And if you look on the very far right, you'll see a little kind of circle arrow, which is about the best way that I can describe it. And what it's trying to do is indicate a carriage return. And it's just trying to show you that, hey, look, typically, we would be kind of off to the right and not necessarily see this without scrolling left to right. So what it's trying to show you is, hey, look, we just put this down to the next line. It's not technically on the next line, but just to make it a little easier to display, it's down there. So when you see line 11 where Rachel just typed, that's why it's there. And then you'll also notice on line 15 with the video, you'll notice that the video is on the next line after that /. And again, the reason for that is Web Matrix just automatically put that onto the
That's right.
Yep.
And if you didn't like that feature, you could actually go up in File Options and make that change, but it certainly is a nice feature.
Especially in a scenario like this where we're trying to do demos and show all the code. Yep.
Right. All right, let's add one more thing now that we're working towards our travel blog.
Yep.
Let's do an example of a semantic tag.
Yeah.
Let's add a footer.
Okay. Let's see it.
And see, we know exactly what that's supposed to be, a footer, because it says it's a footer, right?
Yep.
We don't have to use the traditional div tag. Again, if I had used the div tag, it would work okay.
Yep.
But we want to move towards more semantically correct HTML5 types of tags.
Exactly.
Let's just add a simple, how about a copyright? Copyright, I'm going to use a little ampersand that...
So the ampersand is how you're sending a little signal, basically telling the browser to display something other than just text.
Yeah, I want that little copyright symbol as basic little entity name is what it is. And yeah, copyright, and then we'll put the date. How about that? Let's run it, see what happens. Okay.
And just like that, there it is.
Just like that. We've got our little footer. We probably want that down here. We're going to be working on that later when we talk about styling.
CSS. Yep.
But it's getting better.
Yeah.
All right.
Beautiful. And the one last thing that I would love to highlight real quickly here, if we just kind of kick to my slide, kind of taking a real quick step back, is just to go back and highlight one last little thing about SVG and Canvas.
Great.
Is that one big difference also between SVG and Canvas is that the Canvas here is specifically designed for JavaScript. So you'll notice here on the Canvas tag that all that I've identified is that we're going to have a canvas of that size, but I didn't identify what was going to be inside of there.
Right.
The way that you're going to draw it out is by using JavaScript. With SVG, however, you'll notice that semantically, there's that word again, declaratively, that I'm putting in a bit of markup to say this is what I want to draw. So with SVG, I can modify and change that by utilizing both JavaScript and style. So SVG, JavaScript, and style. Canvas, JavaScript only.
JavaScript only.
There we go.
Very
Okay.
good. Good.
Perfect.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Oh, you're very welcome.
For some additional resources.
Yes.
We want to give our viewers information on where they can go download some free stuff.
Yes.
Let me go ahead and link them out there. Free stuff is good. Yeah, this is a great site to know about. This takes you to a couple of different options that you have for actually downloading some development environments.
Yep.
And Microsoft offers you many few ones. We've got the Web Matrix, that's what we have been using. Yep. Also, we mentioned Visual Studio Express, your favorite, right?
Yep, I love Visual Studio.
Yeah, I do too, but I think Web Matrix is a great one to start out with. And then, of course, Internet Explorer. You can actually do development right inside of Internet Explorer. Here's a place where you can go download any of these, and then there's a little comparison if you're wondering, well, what's the best one?
Yeah.
Well, you can go here and explore. I do want to mention, if you are a student, DreamSpark. We've got to mention DreamSpark.
Oh, we got to, yes.
It is a great program if you're not familiar with DreamSpark. If you are a student and have an educational student ID, you are available to go to DreamSpark, sign up for it, and get lots of free stuff from Microsoft. So you'll want to do that. And lots of software for free. And one of those, of course, is the full professional Visual Studio version.
Yeah. Yeah, so just fire up Bing, do a search for DreamSpark, all one word, and definitely check it out. Take advantage of it, because again, the best price in the world is free.
Yeah, that's right. So lots of different options. And again, for this exam, it doesn't matter which one you choose.
Right.
We're going to do most of our demos in Web Matrix. And we're also going to do a few in Visual Studio.